Hi Virgo, welcome to your reading. Welcome to Mama Star X channel. So I just want to remind you that this is a general reading. I also have my style where I use a combination of tools or different oracles to access the messages for the reading. I am not an astrologer nor a numerologist, although I've been guided to use both methods when I'm doing my readings. So everything that I give is through inspiration as well as whatever information is given through these tools, okay? So I will not timestamp this reading. However, I am connecting to this portal of energy that we're going to be crossing from the 18th until the 28th of January, okay? And here's where I advise you to go and listen to my video where I spoke about the portals of this month, as well as the astrological houses that Virgo is going to have the most activity. All right, so as you can see here in the heart of your reading, the code that came out was 99. This is a pretty big number. And when I see something that big, we're talking about a lot of knowledge. You have gathered a lot of knowledge, Virgo. This code is talking about compassion. And compassion is normally an attitude that we have towards other people. You know, we've been taught to think in terms about being there for other people, feeling sorry or supportive of other people when they're going through a hard time. But in this particular case, it's talking more about you. And of course, because of the number, it's asking me to go deeper. So this is not just about a compassion that is, you know, on the surface, but it's needing to dig deep and look at the definitions that you have about compassion. Compassion about the self. If you notice, this is a word that it's combined. It talks about the passions and how you share them. When you look at the etymology of this word, you know, it's a combination of two words. Now, I didn't look for it, but I can see that it's, you know, two words put together. But I do think that at some point I looked the etymology of this word. And, you know, we have a definition based on Christianity, you know, from the time that Christianity started to affect the way we look at things. But there was a definition prior to those times where it was different. Well, in this particular case, I just want to point out that your passions, right? From a vibrational perspective, is pure positive energy. So when you're feeling passionate, you're drawing or extracting energy from the universal mind, and you're not really manipulating it. You're just letting it move through you. And you're not projecting your definitions and your expectations. So when we're motivated and we're inspired, we have a lot of energy. And time goes like that, right? We don't feel time because we're letting that energy work through us. And pay attention, because in those moments, you know, we could be in a creative project doing something with our hands, or we can be working on whatever project. But if it's something that you're passionate about, you're going to notice that time is going to fly. You're like, what happened? But that's because you were really into it, and you were letting that energy move through you, and you were following that inspiration. You were not telling that energy what to do. You were letting that energy tell you how to do it. Now, let's apply this to relationships, because I feel like a lot of this reading relates to romantic relationships, especially for those of you who've been struggling with your connection. So, when you meet somebody and you feel a strong pull, that's the way your soul is telling you that you know this soul already. And the level of connection that you feel towards that person, you know, if it's a really strong connection, you're going to have recognitions of knowing that you already knew this soul from before. When you know somebody or you know another soul, depending on if you're part of the same lineage, spiritual lineage, it all depends. If you're part of from the same lineage, if you have many different timelines or incarnations with this person, because you've acquired the same level of growth, you're going to feel really strong attraction towards that person. You have the capabilities of drawing a lot of pure positive from the universe, as long as you don't project your expectations. This is a problem, because your soul destiny may be very different to that person's soul destiny. And even if it's the same, it does not mean that at a 3D level that you have achieved the same level of understanding when you come together. It's like you beginning university with your boyfriend and needing to go through the same classes, but your level of understanding and comprehending those classes is going to be different than your boyfriend, which as a result, it may just be that one of you may have to retake a class because you didn't get it, while the other person continues on. So your purpose or the end result is the same, but how you get there is different. And what determines how long I'm going to stay or I need to move on, it is not your mind, it's your soul. Because your soul is the one who determines what is going to happen to you in this incarnation. What is your soul purpose, right? We hear that a lot. What is my soul purpose? And your mind has to align to that soul purpose. But if you haven't learned how to work with your soul to address and attain your soul purpose, this is where we get into conflicts. This is where we end up giving away our power. And this is how we end up stuck. And on the top of it, we're confused because, you know, we have projected our stories and our views into a situation, and now we're giving away our energy and wasting it and not recognizing the other side, the other perspectives, the other situations that are a part of your reality and are part of your truth. So as you can see, you know, I'm being asked to work with this frequency because this is not just easy breezy. Okay, give it to me easy. I need to get it so that I can move on and do what I need to do. You know, we're used to doing that. We're being taught to behave in that way. And yes, there are moments that it's okay for you to be light like a feather. But there are moments where you need to go deep within yourself and have a better understanding of what's required of you. Because if we don't know how to preserve our energy, we end up wasting it. And when we waste energy, And the time comes where we need to be recharged and move into newer things so that we can create the next opportunities. We don't have the energy because we gave it to something that is no longer available to us and is not helping us grow any longer. So here is a cycle where you're being asked to work within yourself. It's funny how different this reading is from the one that I did to my Spanish viewers. And although it's a different point of view, it's very close. It's very close. I feel like for you guys it's very specific. It comes with a really high number, higher than my Spanish viewer. They had more codes than you did. But yours, apparently, from the English perspective, excuse me, my tongue tied. From my English viewers' perspective, you seem to know what it takes. You will know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that they won't know. I'm just saying that you are at a point where your lessons, your life lessons, and your personal growth have reached a whole different level of awareness that relates to this idea of compassion, how you're sharing your energy, how you're sharing your passions. So it's funny that when we go to the basics of this code, we have 9, and it talks about completion. So right now, you're completing a cycle, but it's happening at a deeper level where it requires you to have deeper understanding of what is happening and what's going on. That's the Hermit. This is you. And what you're being guided to see is this frequency, compassion. What is compassion to you? How do you apply it? How do you define it? How you manipulate this energy? Because it's not just about how you're there for others. It's also how you're there for you. How compassionate are you with yourself when you get to a dead end and there's nowhere or no more room to go? Because we know that we cannot go any further and we know we need to come back. But what are we coming back to? A lot of times we don't know what to do with ourselves when we have put all of our efforts, our time, and our energy into an idea, and we get lost. So when we don't know what's the next thing to do, we end up using all of our energy in the things that we are familiar with. And the question is, Virgo, what are you giving your time and energy to? Because if we're dealing with a relationship that is dead and it has ended for a while, but you had some lingering expectation of needing to have closure, and that hasn't happened, and you're disappointed, and then what? Because just because you're still doing the things that you need to do in your everyday life and needing to address those responsibilities, it doesn't mean that you're not giving away your power. Especially if you're still thinking about that connection and hoping that eventually things will get better. See what I mean? It's like getting to a dead end, being aware of what's there, but denying that is done, denying that it has ended. That's being in denial. Knowing that nothing is happening, nothing is changing, but hoping that eventually it will change, because for you, that's the person that you've chosen. While the universe is saying, And here's the other thing. Very important. We have been taught to manipulate the impossible. We try to manipulate other people. We think sometimes that we are able to do it and get away with it. And because we do it here in the 3D reality, we think that the universe does it too. But the one thing we forget is that one of the agreements that we made to be in this dimension and in this reality is that we have free will. So when you are communicating to the universe what you want, and you have somebody in mind, the universe cannot manipulate that person so that you can get your way. And the universe cannot manipulate you so that other people can have their way with you. How do you like that? Impossible. We've been taught to behave that way. But you know, everything that we've been taught to do doesn't make it right. All right? And it doesn't make it possible. And that's what another thing we need to come to terms. Not everything that we've been taught to do is the right thing to do. The universe will not manipulate that other person so that you can have them. Doesn't work like that. The frequencies that you nurture and feed within yourself is what determines the type of people that will come to you and co-create your experiences. So those people don't come because you knew them at the soul level and you know them really well and now they're coming to help you. Yeah, they do that. But it has to be based on the frequency that you're vibrating to be able to attract that being. If it doesn't happen before, it's because you were not vibrating in the same way. So this idea that we have, that things happen because I have to work really hard at making it happen in 3D, is another misconception. Because the universe doesn't care how hard you work. What the universe listens to is your frequencies, what you got going on, the music you created within yourself or within yourselves. And how you're able to sustain a tune and how often, because that's what frequency is about, how frequent you think about it. And how you're nurturing now that energy. Because you can think something today and tomorrow you think the same thing, but in the way you're nurturing that energy could be very different than the way you're nurturing it today. And that difference makes a hell of a lot of, is very important and a lot of difference when it comes to your process of manifestation. And it makes a huge difference when you're going to communicate it to the universe. The universe pays attention to those subtleties and those changes. You may not, but the universe does. So for those of you who've been waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing happens and you hear it's coming and it's not coming, right? When we get into those dilemmas or those conflicts, the reason why it's not happening is because whatever frequencies you got going on inside yourselves are very different to the frequencies of the other person that you're desiring. And the universe cannot bring them together because they're not close enough or they're not a match to make it happen in the 3D reality. So please, work with that for a moment. Because it all relates to compassion, combining my passions, sharing my passions. So coming back to this cycle, something has completed, something has ended. In that process of change and transformation and adaptability, we have to become stable, emotionally stable. It's very important that we become emotionally stable and accept what is. This is what is. But if our mind has a difficult time accepting what is, and then you need to go deep within yourself, or you need to find food that will allow you to understand from a deeper perspective or a different point of view why it's important to accept what is. Because if you don't drop it, and you don't trust the process, and you don't let it go, you become stagnant. You become depleted because you're feeding frequencies that are not in alignment with your truth. It's like being on your own. You disconnect from the source of all knowing. When you're on your own, who is nurturing you? Who is strengthening you? That's the reason why we feel so exhausted. And it's unfortunate because your life doesn't end there. There is more to come. And there are better opportunities to come. But now you're in an emotional place where you're exhausted and tired because you've been nurturing energies that are dead. And what makes you feel recharged is your inspiration, your creativity, your motivations. You can't feel good if you're dealing with situations where you're not growing and you're not expanding and you're not changing. So when you get stuck in a situation and you cannot let it go, you disconnect yourself from the source of all knowing, and you deplete your energy because the pool where you draw energy from is not available to you. Not in the same way. You're purposely closing all the channels that allows you to draw energy from the pool of universal mind, of the universal mind. And that's why we get like a broken record, and that's why we start feeling tired and exhausted, and that's why we challenge our immune system and we get sick. And that's why we get very suspicious. Oh my God, when we are stressed and disconnected from source, we're so suspicious. We're even suspicious of ourselves. We cannot even trust ourselves enough to make a choice. So we go and ask somebody else, and we normally ask sometimes the wrong person. But we think, there's got to be something. Somebody needs to help me because I don't trust myself. So all of this relates because trust, for you to be able to be a purposeful manifester, the magician, you have to trust yourself. Not others, but trust yourself. And my question to you is, can you trust yourself enough even when things are not happening the way you want them to? Have you considered that maybe it's not meant to happen in the way you want to, and that the universe can surprise you by bringing it in a different way? Can you give yourself that opportunity and give room for surprises that could be really awesome and wonderful by you letting go of your control? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. This image of this person controlling the lion's mouth, which can talk about your ego, which is important to tame our ego, but it could also talk about controlling our power, our inspiration, our spontaneity. So what are you controlling? Interesting, because I did this reading about the wisdom keepers in Spanish, but for my Spanish viewers, and it was about the inner child. I believe this is talking about your inner child. When was the last time you let that inner child speak. Do you even know that you have an inner child? Can you trust that part of you? Because that's the part of you that allows you to see life from a whole fresh new perspective. You're not innocent, but you can cultivate innocence. Nobody's innocent. Even when we're a child, that we think, oh, that child is innocent, the soul is not. The child's body, yeah. The body and the machine, yeah. But the soul is not innocent. It's not new. It's not fresh. It has had many experiences before. But yet we pretend that it's an innocent child. It doesn't know. Yeah, the machinery it is. So we can cultivate those frequencies of purity by refining and purging and releasing and letting go of definitions that, are based on manipulations and limitations. But you have to do that work, and you have to go through that process. And maybe this is part of what you need to do here, but that's up to you. You got to determine that. In the meantime, we need to remember that the moon is not just about deception. It does speak about things that you don't know, but it doesn't always have to come from a place of deception. It can also come from a place of wisdom. Mysteries, school of mysteries, the occult, right? The occult is not always about manipulation. This is a very powerful information that can allow us to do a lot of things. But to be able to access that information, we need to be pure. We cannot come from a place of manipulation. And boy, how we manipulated reality, right? So there is infinite possibilities here in these new beginnings. Beautiful time for you to work with this newness that is available to you during this time. But compassion is the key as we are completing these cycles, as we are completing projects with people that are no longer part of our reality. So accepting what is, letting them go at every level is really beneficial. I also feel that you're going to be released. There's going to be a release from these people as well. There's going to be a release from these people as well. You're going to feel lighter and you're going to feel freer. A change is occurring at a deeper level that as well as is requiring for you to be aware of your emotions, your projections, and your expectations. The other person is also being affected, but it's also being led to release the connections that may still hold with you, that may be keeping you distracted, making you feel distracted. And this is the thing, when your intentions are pure and you're doing the best that you can to overcome your difficulties without using hate or jealousy or aggression, right? You're focusing on learning and growing and liberating yourself from those limitations and the limitations of others. What happens is that universal truth or universal judgment puts into balance your merits in relationship to the other person's merits, your accomplishments in relationship to the other person's accomplishments, and your intentions in regards to the other person's intentions. And whoever was able to keep themselves more pure and more conscientious of well-being, the universe will support you in that way, or will support those people in that way, and will not allow the other person that is vibrating with lower frequencies to interfere and affect the other person's reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, this is not easy to say because it can bring a lot of confusion, but the universe has that capability. Pure positive energy has that ability to determine, based on your actions. We're talking about higher frequencies of love and unity. They have the capabilities to put into judgment your actions and your intentions and determine out of the two people who remain the most objective and the more positive, or wanting to retain the well-being, not just for you but for the other people. Of course, from the moment that you want to choose peace and love and harmony and well-being, you will definitely help others to have that. But if the other person is coming from a place of selfishness and manipulation, the universe will protect you from those energies, those frequencies. And it will have that person, by the principles of law, correspondence, the law of correspondence or law of attraction, have what they deserve. You will have what you deserve, and they will have what they deserve. Everybody gets what they want, what they need. I should say what they need, not what they want, but what they need. So you will get your peace, not in the way you expected or with the people that you thought you would, and that person will get what they deserve. No one loses here. Everybody gets what they deserve. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Epiphanies are happening. Okay, so meaning different perspectives of you are coming together and recognizing a truth. That's an epiphany. So when I look at the messages of love, interference, an external party is intruding on this relationship. I feel like you're dealing with somebody who's being advised in a way that it does not help them take responsibility for what they have done or what they need to do. And well, that's something that that person has to deal with. I feel like this is more the person you're dealing with. You're being asked to retreat. It's time to take a break, the hermit, and spend some time in nature so that you can recharge your batteries. Support. Lean on your inner circle during this time. Okay? And again, trust. This is all about trust. Can you trust yourself? Do you trust yourself? How is your level of trust when you're not getting the results that you want? When things are not happening as fast as you want? Pay attention. How do you feel? Do you trust yourself? What are you telling yourself? Strictly sexual, the connection is passionate but not enduring. That's what happens when two people, can channel a lot of energy. Sexual, we call it sexual energy because it comes from different chakras, but it doesn't have to be sexual. We can direct that energy in a positive way. The question that we need to ask ourselves is, do we know and can we agree? Do we know how to change that energy and direct that energy? And can we agree and direct it in the same direction? Here and now, your true love is already part of your life. And denial. There you go. Detach with love to clearly see the truth. Here and now. Strictly sexual. Interference, retreat, and support. And last, by the enchanted map, the message here is sparks. Comes with 3 and 4. In Tarot, 3 is the Empress, 4 is the Emperor. How to come together. How can two people transcend their life lessons and turn them into treasures? How can people come together and spark, by sparking their divine nature? I love this. Is talking about the near future. There's situations here that are coming together in a very positive way. And the advice here is there is a spark of creativity in you. So something is in the making that it hasn't manifested in 3D yet. And it has to do with that spark. So follow your creativity. And you have every reason to move forward with optimism and hope. Open yourself to inspiration and allow life to show you it is beauty and your part in creating that beauty. This is the perfect time to give birth to new ideas, start new relationships or job, or begin any endeavor. Attraction is high as you connect with others who can co-create joyous experiences and join with you in expressing the finer aspects of life. You see, this is about alignment. Aligning to those people that are willing to do the work with the same state of mind that you're in. Watching a spark turn to a flame and stalking that fire is a gratifying activity. I feel like there are better times to come, Virgo. It's just that it's still part of the unknown. It's not physical. But can you trust yourself while you're not seeing this outcome and continue to, do what you need to do to, 1, come together, 2, remove confusion, 3, recharge your batteries, and 4, preserve your energy. So when the time is right and the universe says, here it goes, you're prepared. You're prepared. And you will be prepared. Thank you so much, Virgo. I wish you the best of luck. Until next time.